Hello, my name is Mike Pfaff, and this is my YouTube channel, Living in the Illusion. Now, last time we got together, we talked about how to change the truth of who we believe ourselves to be. And that truth presents itself in an internal picture of who we believe we are. It's all one picture. So if you want to change for any reason, if you want to heal for any reason, if you want to manifest for any reason, have to change your picture of who you are. That's a little difficult to see because we are unaware that we are programmed so completely, and that picture is a result of our internal programming, and it's held in place by our ego. So we're going to talk a little bit about the ego today. Not just a little bit, we're going to talk a lot about the ego. And I want you to refer back to the last video, and I'll state that again from A Course in Miracles. Understand that you are not responding to anything directly. You're not responding to anything directly, but to your interpretation of it. Now, this is a step that we have talked about before, that everything is an interpretation in the mind, and then it reflects itself in the outside world. So we do not see, feel, touch, handle, taste, hear anything directly. We don't hear at all from the outside, and we don't see from what's outside. We see from interpretations of electromagnetic and chemical signals that come through the central nervous system. Oh. And that interpretation is determined by your experiences from the past. Now, how can we build on that? Well, we're going to start with looking at the ego and understanding what the ego is. And to do that, I'm going to use my whiteboard and develop a model. Now, this approach in looking at the ego, most of the information will come from the thoughts of a guru called Osho, who has since passed some time ago. But he had a very confrontational guru and had a lot of problems, but he did have some good insights. And I'm going to use one of his approaches to talk about the ego. So in a moment, we'll try to, we won't try, we'll bring the right whiteboard in, and then I'll try to lay out a model that will explain or give some insight into what the ego is. We'll see what happens. So stick around, and we'll see you in a moment. Welcome back, and thanks for sticking around. Now, this video is going to be around your ego. And I worded it like this: kill your ego now. It will change your life. The ego is, as we're going to see, is a creation that you put together. So let us start right off with recognizing who you are. So who are you? What is the essence of who you are? Now, we all come into the world, and we all come into the world with a body. So, in this diagram, we have to start out with you. So I'm going to put you here. I'm going to put a little circle around you so we know where you're at. Now, you come in with a body. So you have a body. Now, so we don't get confused, I'm going to draw your body as a square. So this is your body. Right there. And this is you. So you're in the body, a little controversial in certain understandings. The body is in you. Oh. But for convenience, right now, we'll say you're in the body. Now, the thing about the body is that it has antennae. Antennae that reach out into the outside environment to pick up information. So we have 5 antennae, which is our senses. So our senses, now I'm going to draw it here this way, on this side of the body. There's 2, and there's a third one. I'm drawing it this way so I won't forget that there are 5. So these senses reach out into the environment around us and pick up information. Now, you notice that the antennae, your senses, do not look inside. So your antenna is not picking up any information about the essential or the original you. It's looking out here, and you're not out here, so it's trying to get information to find out what its environment is like. Now, so it's looking out into this outside. Now, what's outside? What's outside of you? No, this is just a step back. Everything. There's only energy out here. But part of that energy is, now I'm going to draw a big circle here, a big square here. Out here is parents. Let's start with parents. So parents are a source of information, as well as extended family members, siblings, social media, government intervention, religious institutions, all kinds of things that are out here, because this is, outside of you, is the illusion. So I'm going to put that down. Illusion. And another name for the illusion is the egoic world. Egoic. Because there's a lot of egos out here that are running all this stuff. So this is the egoic world that your senses as an infant out of the womb, fresh out of the womb, begin to take in information. So this part, the illusion, starts giving information that this body and mind begin to absorb. Doesn't mean too much because they have no background to interpret the information. Now, you do have a low brain. Brains are not easy to draw because they look like a kidney bean, kind of. So, and the senses are hooked to it in a fashion. So you are developing an understanding of you and how you fit in to your environment. This is all environment out here. The egoic world, the illusion, is all environment. And you begin to develop, now I'm going to draw it this way, develop an understanding of who you are based upon information from the outside. You have no reference yet. You can't see your original self, but this is your life force. Without your original self, there's no body. Body can't function without life force. So you're in here, or part of this mechanism, and the senses are taking in information. And with your little brain is beginning to develop a sense of who you, gotta spell who you are. And you relate that to the outside. You relate who you are to attachment to your parents, attachment to your extended family, to your country, to your religious affiliation through the parents and through this outside information. And so you are developing who you are. and it becomes a belief system. So it is who you believe. Believe you are. This is who you believe you are. And over a period of time, usually the first 3 years of life, you develop an understanding through this interface with the outside world who you believe yourself to be. Now you think about the last video and the picture that you create of who you believe yourself to be. The same thing. Okay? But this we're talking about, this is your identity. Now we got to put the rest of it. Ego. Identity. It's a creation. You create it. This is your original self that you're unaware of. This part of you, this ego part, is unaware of you as life force. So now you have an ego. Now, slowly you'll develop it. Your parents basically tell you who you are. So all of this, you are now beginning to get programmed as to who you believe yourself to be. See, that ties in with the other stuff that we talked about. So now you have an ego identity that you're playing with. You're testing it to make sure it's what you are. And this information out here will give you evidence of who you are. By the time, well, now I said by age 3, but then you a little bit further, 4, 5, preschool, starting kindergarten, you're pretty well fixed as to who you believe yourself to be. Based upon all this other information that filters everything now. So outside your identity. See, now you know who you are in relationship to the egoic world. So now you're programmed into who you really are? No. You are now fully integrated, and that's what that part of the childhood is about. Fully integrated into your cultural background. And now, out here is the environment, the egoic environment, and in here is your ego identity that match. They go together. They're like a hand in the glove. The environment and how you develop go together. There's no separation. You can't tell there's any separation between who you are and your environment unless you do it consciously. So that's what the ego is. The ego is a creation by you. Now, you're making this up. So this is the false self. The false self. you that came into this environment, your original self, is the true self. Your ego is the false self. And the false self now, what makes it real for you is that you accept it. You accept it as who you are, and that makes it real. Boom, like that, it's real. Okay, that's who I am. Now you got a picture of who you are. And it's backed up with much information that verifies through this concept of interaction here, this interface with the outside world. That's who you are. So, and who you are now you'll notice when I drew this, again, I drew it as a lens. Because once you accept your ego identity, it becomes the lens through which you view the outside world. Isn't that interesting? Interesting. So now, after you accept the ego and make it who you are, it becomes real. It's like you breathe life into this creation. And now it is like a separate entity. And this separate entity, this ego identity, will talk to you, will counsel you, and you created it. So you know it's very wise and worth listening to, and it wants to live. So you are locked in to this inner picture of who you believe yourself to be. Now, the heading, kill your ego now. Why? Can't change. You're locked into this entity which you have given life to, and it is your ego. And that ego is very wise and very intelligent, and it's integrated into your belief system, your value system, and who you believe yourself to be. So if you want to change anything, you're going to end up changing your ego. Ego doesn't change. It is what it is because you gave it life. And that's what it is. And it wants to live. You say, well, I made it up. I can destroy it. Ego doesn't do that. Course in Miracles goes through a lot about the ego. And the difference now between the ego and your original self. Now, as the ego gets bigger, as this lens gets bigger, this part of you takes which you don't even know you have, takes a smaller and smaller part of your life. And even now, most people don't know they have an original self or a life force, because the ego will convince them that it is the most important. That life is all around your ego and your ego strength. And so you're going to listen to your ego. And now, because of the way it's integrated, you can't change. You try on a conscious level. Remember, this is unconscious to you. You try on a conscious level, whether it's to exercise more, or lose weight, or stop using addictive behaviors. But these are all integrated into the ego. When you change that, you got to kill the ego. If you don't, it'll always come back. Why? Because it's your belief. So in order for you, when you kill the ego, it will change your life. Change your life. So if you want to make improvements, now this again gets into manifesting. Why? Well, manifesting is looking to change you or your environment, or get something from your environment or the universe. But this is all locked in. It's not separate. You think you have free will, and you do to a certain extent, but this is locked in to seeing the world this way. You say, well, it's painful. I want to change. I want to get something different. I want a new job. I want a little more money. I want more education. I want to change, move to another location. It's all locked in. And you can attempt to do that, but unless you kill your current ego, can't change. Before, when we talked about manifesting, I said you got to change what's going on inside. Because the inside is a reflection of what's outside. The inside is your picture of who you believe yourself to be. So you have to, which is the ego. So you have to kill that current ego, and you will automatically, within a short time, with almost instantaneously, come up with a new ego that will incorporate the changes that you want to make. But you got to step outside of this box. Who you really are. How do you determine who you really are? Because once you find that out, once you begin to get in touch with who you really are, this process of change takes on a whole new, different dimension. So now this is what I wanted to bring to your attention, that your ego is like a separate person that's talking in your ear and telling you how to run your life and showing you out here through this lens all the things that match who you believe yourself to be. Now, when you change the ego, you change your lens, and you see something different out here. That's the change process. That's when you begin to develop inside of you a new understanding of who you are. Not the false self, but your original self of who you are. And when you start shifting that, your whole world changes. Now, this is a little difficult to understand. And right away, you may not. But this idea of the ego is ancient. It didn't start with Freud. Freud manipulated it, and you notice I didn't talk about the superego or any of those three things that Freud talked about. So now I want to bring up, because the ego wants to live, and why in living your current ego you can't change. The ego lives in the past, and it draws you into the past, and you get stuck there and you can't move. You get stuck in the past, out of the present. The present is the only place where you can make changes. The present moment. So its goal, now it has a thought system, it has rules, it has regulations, and so Course in Miracles recognizes that. And part of the wisdom says, surely you can see how it is in strict accord with its basic doctrine, which is seek to change, diligently try to change, but don't. And in the statement here it says, seek a new job, a new house, a new relationship, but not find. Which basically means you can get a new job, but you'll act just like the old job. It'll be just like the old job. And you say, well, I changed to a new job. How come I'm having trouble? You didn't change what's going on inside. You only changed location. You didn't change the picture that you have inside. So we have much to talk about here in the illusion. And this, I know that this is a little tough to understand this way. So let's see what points of interest, and I'll put them up here, that we talked about during this video. We all have an ego identity because we all go through the same process. Now, you will, if you are into change, if you are into manifesting, you will kill a lot of your current egos as you move forward. But some of them would be very difficult because they're held in place by so much evidence that it's true. And when you make them, when you accept it as who you are, tough to change. The ego lives through the past and keeps you stuck in that realm. So you'll have a lot of grievances, you'll have a lot of things you can't forgive, you'll have a lot of people that you won't talk to anymore. There's all kinds of stuff you're going to do to keep you stuck in the past. You create your ego from the illusion. You create your ego from the illusion. So the ego is an illusion. It's a false self. Now here's the thing that we didn't talk about in depth, but I want you to think about it. The ego becomes master of its creator. The ego becomes master of its creator. Who is your ego's creator? You. And the ego will twist your tail to stay alive. It will cause you to stay in old relationships too long, jobs that aren't meaningful, and also cause you to get physically and emotionally ill. Why? Well, you can't change until you get better from your emotional health problems or physical problems. And so the ego will drive you to get sick. And to stay alive, you might die. The life force may leave. Oh, that is very tough to think about. So if you want to change, you must kill the current ego. What does that really mean? You're not going to go up and stab the ego. You don't even know where it is. It means you have to withdraw your belief in it that caused it to have life. You have to withdraw your belief that it is who you really are and recognize this is false. This is just a creation. Oh, there's much to think about here. And so as you do that, be good to yourself. And we'll look forward to seeing you next time we get together here in the illusion. Now, remember to subscribe below and hit the like button. And if you have any questions, and then we'll see what happens. If you have any questions, and I think you might, because this presentation strikes at a different approach to change. So look forward to hearing from you, and we'll see you next time we get together here in the illusion. Bye now.